Hey, beautiful, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. At least for me, happy gloomy Tuesday. And welcome again to another episode of the Jayson Estrera show, where we talk about sports, basketball, and basically any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. And as always, it's your boy, your host, Jayson Estrera. And on for today's show, it's going to be a lot of playoffs and finals talk. Last night, we saw the Boston Celtics advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. But have they had the easiest path so far to the finals? And looking forward to tonight's matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Which of those two teams will the Celtics eventually face in the finals? But first, before we get into those topics, this one just came out of nowhere. And it's about Bronny James, baby. And so apparently Bronny James has had, there was news about him like a week ago. I just put out the video, him apparently being ranked 54th in the mock draft. And so he had 10 scheduled workouts with 10 NBA teams, right? Supposedly, he has declined all of these except for two. And that's with the LA Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are legitimately considering Bronny with their number 22 overall pick. Bronny James was scheduled for 10 workouts with NBA teams, but he's declined all of them except for two. People are reacting. No way bro has that much confidence to say no to 8 teams. A fringe prospect declining 8 workouts is truly absurd. Declining workouts when you shouldn't even be drafted is insanity. I've tried staying out of the whole Bronny narrative thing because it's all bad, but a prospect of his low caliber turning down workouts is insane. And here is the reality when it comes to situations like this, right? Either one, I don't think that report with the Phoenix Suns, Bronny James all of a sudden declining workouts, and the only teams he will now work out for is the Lakers, which is the team that LeBron is already on, and the Phoenix Suns, who is now reportedly a legitimate destination for Bronny, who is actually considering drafting him at 22. So either they have sources or word that one of these two teams are going to take him. Now, the lesser or the more pessimistic way to view this is he's scared to work out some more. He was solid at the combine. Right? Solid at the combine. And to be honest, I don't know if those practices and workouts will really show off the things that I believe Bronny James does well, which is have a high IQ, use his athleticism. Those things take time to show. IQ, you can't just show that in a scrimmage. And so the fear could be some of his deficiencies getting exposed. I don't know if these workouts are with other top prospects, and maybe he's trying to shy away from the head-to-head competition. Or, like I said, one is shying away. So one could be they have a guaranteed as to where he can actually end up. 2, my fear is that it's a lack of competitiveness or not wanting to compete against your peers. You don't want to show your weaknesses, right? Or 3, it could be because you don't think that the things that you do well will show itself in a 1-hour workout or a 2-hour workout, which could actually be valid as well too, because like I just said, his greatest asset is his IQ and his feel for the game. He's not bigger, stronger than anyone. He jumps pretty well at his height. He's quick, but he doesn't have this scorer's mentality or this shooter. Like he's not the prototype of the current NBA player to where he's gonna go into a workout and blow everyone out of the water. It's just not his style of play. And maybe he just thinks it's what's best for him. But that is surprising that he would decline all those workouts, considering he's not a top prospect. And the first thing that comes to my mind is that he has a guarantee as to where he's going to land, and it's either the Lakers or the Phoenix Suns. And that's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. And it is what it is. You can say what you want. I do think that he can be a legitimate NBA player one day. I don't know if it'll be right now, but yeah, it seems like at the moment it's safe to say that he's gonna either go to the Lakers or the Phoenix Suns. Now, speaking of NBA teams, well, last night we saw the Eastern Conference Finals come to a close between the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. The Boston Celtics are now entering their 23rd NBA Finals after they beat the Indiana Pacers 105-102. Boston moves on with a 4-0 series victory over the Pacers. And they did that behind their 2 stars once again. Jaylen Brown had 29 points, 11 of 22 shooting from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 3 of 6 from the line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Tatum added in 26 points, shot 11 of 26 from the field, 3 of 11 from 3, only 1 free throw, had 13 rebounds and 8 assists with a steal, and also 5 turnovers. For the Pacers, we saw Andrew Nembhard continue his tear. He had 24 points, went 10 of 18 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, had 6 rebounds, 10 assists, a steal, and a block. We also saw Pascal Siakam with 19 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 3 of 5 from the line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. And it was a real back and forth. You know, at the half, Boston was only up by 1, 58-57, but at no point in time did it really feel like the Boston Celtics were going to lose that game. So let's take a look at how it turned out.
Plenty of time. Step back, shoots over Turner, 3-pointer's good.
Career, I assume. I gotta go check the tape on that one, Doris.
Holiday. Nembhard, jumper's good.
Nice extension this offseason from the Boston Celtics.
Eastman, fine memory when you do that night after night. Tatum gets inside, beautiful left. Nembhard, no hesitation, got it. Nembhard spins, goes right at Brown, stops and banks it home. Nembhard looking, Nembhard spinning, goes in, puts it up. It's good, Nembhard.
Didn't get the win, but got the bucket.
Can't quite hold on. Ball knocked away by White. White down the lane, goes up.
Bang.
Crossover drives, goes past
It just like it just seemed like at no point these guys were going to lose, man.
From three after their 7 for 12 start.
McConnell spins inside. Points, 5 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the field. 3-pointer. It's good.
Massive.
11 points, 4 assists. Pass goes inside, and Tatum with the slide. Off the bounce. Again, McConnell. Turn, shoot. Tatum spins. Brown. See if this one goes. It's good. Siakam spins.
Hey, they're down right now, and I never thought they were gonna lose this game.
Nembhard racing up the floor. Nembhard, the runner, back shot is good. And Al Horford thought about it. Brown hits a 3. Tatum one-on-one with Turner, who's got 5 fouls. Step back, 3-pointers up. It's good. Looking to get it to Turner now. Drives on Horford. Steps back, pulls up. Jumper. It's good. Holiday off the bounce. Gets into the paint. Head fake layup. Banks it in. Out from the 24. Tatum on the drive. Goes inside.
Wow.
Jaylen Brown the drive. Leans in. The floater's up. It's good. On the drive. Pulls back. Lost the ball. Got it back. Kicks it out. White. Corner 3. Bang! The foul. Brown has it. Final seconds. That's it. It's over. The Celtics are heading back to the NBA Finals. And another crushing finish for these Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, we saw the Indiana Pacers go down to the Boston Celtics last night. And like I said, I never felt like Boston was going to lose any of these games. But ironically enough, only 1 out of the 4 games which was what, the game 2 blowout, where I felt like they played a good 48 minutes of basketball. Now, you could either look at that as a good thing, meaning they can clutch up, they could turn it on, you know, they're able to do that, you know, at will because they're such a good team. Or you could look at that on the other side where you say, that could be a cause for concern, because now you have a team that relies on being able to close games, when the reality is the Indiana Pacers and the rest of the teams that they've played have just not been that good. Right? You know, especially compared to the Western Conference teams. And they have all the pieces that you need. They have 2 star players. They have a great supporting cast. They have, you know, everything that you're going to need. They have defenders. They have height and size. They have athleticism. They have defense. They have shooting. They have inside. They have outside. They have a mix of everything, except for a true opponent up until this point, where we can really gauge how good they are. Because right now we're just projecting, and although they've been dominant through the regular season, you can't help but wonder, like, how would it have looked like had they played in the West? You know what I'm saying? And so moving forward, it's great that they won the East, right? But like I said, it's been relatively easy so far. And they've, you know, the beautiful thing is they have done it as a collective group, right? They have done a great job of, I keep saying it, towards the end of games, they do a phenomenal job of really targeting certain matchups, right? And it's a real old school way of playing basketball, but whether it's having Derek White pick for Tatum, so Tatum can get the switch while he's dribbling the ball. Maybe Tatum will pick for White, so Tatum can get a post up, right? Maybe neither of that works, and you have Jaylen Brown on the ISO on the right side of the court. They just have those three things that they can go to at any point in time, and they're going to get a good shot. As long as the game is close, they're confident in their defense, and they're confident in their ability to execute down the stretch, which is a real valuable thing. And as the playoffs has progressed, I feel like they've relied less on their shooting. They still shoot a lot of threes, and they've hit some really, really massive ones. You know, Brown obviously comes to mind. Derek White last night. You know, there's threes that come to mind. However, they have done a lot of damage in the mid-range and the post, and they're going to have to keep doing that in order to be successful in the NBA Finals, right? And so that's something to look for with this team. Again, a great performance. They showed that they're icy as fuck. They showed that they're clutch. They showed positives, right? Even though I do look at it, I do kind of put an asterisk on it, right? But to move forward with another positive thing for them is Jaylen Brown won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and it was nice to see him get an award. You know, it was really off of the back of, like, he led the team in scoring last night, the 40-point game. He's just been so fucking consistent, like I keep talking about. And what we've seen from this Boston Celtics team is we've seen in each round a different player has emerged as their best player of the series, right? Derek White was able to get off because he had Tyler Hero, or what's that other dude's name from Miami? Fuck, why am I blanking right now? He had the favorable matchup, and I think, to me, it kind of felt as though Tatum was more decoy, probing the offense, facilitating rather than being super aggressive. Brown was doing him, but Derek White was the one that really got off. In the second round against the Cleveland Cavaliers, when you have an offensive scorer like Donovan Mitchell, someone that's capable of scoring 70 points, you know, Tatum took on that challenge of matching his production and had some really big games. You know, arguably, I think you could argue that Jayson Tatum was the MVP of that second round, and obviously Brown had the massive series, but it really felt like him and Tatum were a duo in the sense of they were shouldering a bulk of the scoring, and Brown was able to, in my opinion, because of some of the matchups, really get off, having Nembhard on him, having TJ McConnell on him, Halliburton at times. It just he always had the favorable matchup, as opposed to Tatum, who would have Nesmith on him, who would have Siakam on him, Turner. He had these bigger guys. Brown took advantage of all of his smaller matchups. So I think kudos to these guys for finding different ways to win. And that's the thing in the playoffs, right? When, as opposed to the regular season, in the playoffs, obviously, you're playing the same team 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 2 weeks, which isn't normal, right? So when you're going through the series, you start figuring things out about a team that maybe you wouldn't have really noticed in the regular season, right? And as a result of that, yeah, you have your best players, but different players are going to be your X factors in a series, right? Different players are going to have the favorable matchup in a series. And for the Boston Celtics, they have just found what that combination is, right? They're able to, like I said, pick matchups, choose matchups, and take advantage of it. And that shows growth. That shows a veteran mindset. Honestly, it explains why they're going to the championship, because really when it comes down to it, a very core aspect of basketball is finding the matchup that's favorable for you and taking advantage of it. And when that matchup is one of your two best players, I'm gonna like your chances in that, you know. So man, like I said, kudos to all of those three players. Derek White, Jason Tatum, and obviously Jaylen Brown for having a massive Eastern Conference. They all shared this responsibility of ball handling, facilitating, and scoring, and they do a great job of it. I think they've gotten better and better as the playoffs have gone, to be honest with you. So that's really, really cool to see, and to see it in real time. But to move on, we've kind of spoken about it a little bit already, but the road to the NBA Finals for this team has been unique. But is it the easiest NBA Finals run that we have seen? Right? So they are currently, what is that? 12-2. 4-1. Yeah, so they are currently 12-2, entering the NBA Finals. Right? In the first round, they battled a Miami Heat that didn't have Jimmy Butler. And to be honest, I don't think those guys beat them even with Jimmy Butler. So that just makes it really bad. Cleveland, they played 4-1. They beat 4-1. Donovan Mitchell was out after like game 3 or some shit, or game 3 to 5. So he was out. And they also have no Imani Bates. And let's be honest, that Cleveland team is just, they're young. They have talent, but they're young. They just not there yet. And then obviously the Indiana Pacers, they just swept. And it's an Indiana Pacers team that's been missing Tyrese Halliburton since, what is that? Since game 3, so 3 and 4, or since game 2. So talk about a team that just played against injuries. And then when you look at the rest of the East, right? They were supposed to play against the Milwaukee Bucks with Damian Lillard and Giannis. Embiid got hurt for the Philadelphia 76ers. And then a New York Knicks team where half of the roster was, you know, in the hospital, walking to the arena. And so we didn't get a full Eastern Conference that we should have, right? Where we saw the Boston Celtics and all of these guys get really tested. And so when you talk about the easiest runs, let's at least look at two, right? Which is the 2001. Let's start first. The 2001. The 2001 Lakers, right? This is topic. All right. So, right, the 2001 right, so the 2001 LA Lakers, right? 3-0 against the Portland Trailblazers. We'll take a look at all these guys. 4-0 against the Sacramento Kings. 4-0 against the Spurs. And then we don't have to look at Philadelphia because Boston would have to win the finals first. But in terms of the path to the NBA Finals, they swept their conference, right? Yeah, Portland, especially in that time. And not to say they weren't a bad team. 50 wins, right? If we look at the fucking playoffs for this team, Kobe averaged 29.4 and Shaq averaged 30.4. Right? Oh, and by the way, Shaq is 28, Kobe is 22 at the time. Let's keep that in mind, right? Dog, when I tell you 31, 35, 36, 32, 38, 31, 34, 33, 33. This is an old-ass team. With a 26-year-old Rasheed Wallace. Like, solid team. Don't get me wrong. Solid team. Scottie is old as fuck. There isn't a legitimate number one superstar player on this roster at this point in time. So, yes, 3-0. Easy. Sacramento Kings, 55 and 27. You know, you had a Chris Webber at 27, Page at 23. Doug Christie was getting a little bit older. Jason Williams was only 25. Turkoglu's 21. You know, you had two guys scoring 20 a game, but let's be honest, Peja Stojakovic and Kobe Bryant, especially us looking back at their careers now, like, Peja was a very good player and obviously was getting buckets, but he's not Kobe Bean Bryant. And Chris Webber, as great as he was just never Shaq. So their duo was just for fuck everybody else, right? I mean, the highest point per game they had other than that was 10.8, and that's just a problem. But yeah, you guys just fall short in terms of talent. The San Antonio Spurs, 58 and 24 in 2000-2001. What were they looking like? 24.4 Duncan, David Robinson. Holy shit. He was 35 already. Tim Duncan, 24, young as hell. Don't know shit about shit. Antonio Daniels, young role player. Yeah, this team, in comparison to 30 and 29, which is what those two guys were putting up, it's just a different thing, right? And I guess the only other team that we could really compare it to would be the 16-17 is the Warriors of the 2016-17 season, where you know, we saw them play against Portland. And, hey, listen, Draymond Green, I didn't say this shit. Draymond Green was the one that called this team a fluke. Even though they had two young all-stars getting buckets, they didn't, you know, Evan Turner's, he's always been a solid player. But in terms of running against the Warriors, I don't know if he could be your third best player. Or Al-Farouq Aminu, you know, Draymond already said this was a fluky-ass team, so trash. So, obviously, these guys are no good. The Utah Jazz, I mean, dog, where is this? Do you see this fucking team right now? Against the Golden State George Hill is your second best player. Gordon Hayward is your best. Like, bro, what are we dead ass right now? And then the San Antonio Spurs, but like, Kawhi's 25. LaMarcus Aldridge, I don't think he was ever comfortable in San Antonio. And then Tony Parker's old. Manu Ginobili's 39. It's just not the same team that it was before, right? So Is the Boston Celtics run the easiest in history? You see, because of the injuries, I would have to say yes. Right? Because here's the thing. I'm talking about the Lakers in 2000, 2001. I would say that their path was probably a little bit more difficult off the simple fact of, like, the fucking Utah Jazz is who the Warriors went up with in the second round. Are you dead ass? And they went against a legitimate Sacramento Kings team and a Spurs team that had, one of the best players ever. Right? The best power forward ever, actually. And those guys just ran into Kobe and Shaq. I think the easiest would have to be the Boston Celtics, the easiest path to an NBA Finals, followed by the Warriors, and then I guess the Lakers. Because, like I said, the injuries that the teams have had against the Boston Celtics, like, it would have been an easy path already, right? Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler, Cleveland with Imani Bates and Donovan. Like, it was still going to be an easy path, even with those guys playing. And they didn't have those guys. And I saw some people debating if this is the most dominant NBA Finals run. Are you fucking kidding me? We must not know what the word, like, they were dominant against Miami. They were pretty dominant against Cleveland. They were down damn near every game against the Indiana Pacers. So let's just hold up, right? Let's just hold the fuck up. Because that Lakers team, like, bruh. And, I guess only one of the series was like that for this Boston Celtics team. So, not like they weren't a dominant team, but teams with injuries, they should be perfect going into the finals right now. I guess that's why I kind of knock it off a little bit. Like, they shouldn't have even given a game to the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's why, in my opinion, I knocked them off a little bit when it comes to the dominance. Because both the LA Lakers and the Golden State Warriors were perfect going into the NBA Finals. And that was the only time, that's the only series where they dropped the game, was against the best team in the other conference. So, easiest run to the finals, I think, yeah. And then the most dominant, no, I would not say that the Boston Celtics have had the most dominant run yet. Now, for the other side, congratulations to the Indiana Pacers, who really no one thought they would get here. And they somehow managed. I personally had the New York Knicks going into the Eastern Conference Finals to get swept by Boston, but it didn't happen that way. What's next for these guys, right? Because you can call me prisoner of the moment. You can say whatever you want. Andrew Nemhard showed me something in this series and in this playoffs. He was fearless. To me, that goes a long way. Mistakes are fixable. You can't put aggression into someone, though. And there were a lot of times where I just wanted Tyrese Halliburton to be more aggressive. Now, when he's shooting the ball 15 to 20 times, 20 plus times in a game, they look really good and he looks really good. He puts a ton of pressure on teams when he's super aggressive. However, is it in his personality type? You see, there's a lot of basketball fans out there, like, they'll see someone, oh, like, I wish they would just shoot the ball more. I wish they would da-da-da-da-da. They're so good. Why don't they? I think sometimes people forget that these people have personalities. Halliburton, to me, comes off as a person that he's mindful of what other people think. He's mindful of his teammates. He doesn't want to get called the ball hog. He wants to be a facilitator. I think those are the things that make him go. So now telling that person to change their whole makeup and their whole mentality to now be an aggressive 20 shot attempts a game person is asking a lot. He can do it in games. He can do it when he needs to. And I think a part of maturing is going to be understanding that. But they have a guy in Indiana who is fearless, who is willing to take and make shots, big shots, who doesn't seem to care if he turns the ball over or misses a shot or air balls or takes a bad shot. I don't know if Andrew Nembhard has a conscience. And when it comes to scoring the ball in the NBA, you need some of that. Now, I'm not saying to jump out the window and put Andrew Nembhard as the starting point guard, because yes, I agree. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that 100%. I think sometimes we are prisoners of the moment, and we forget that Halliburton has carried this team for this year, right? And so all of a sudden, after 2-3 weeks of Nembhard playing well, we'll say, "I'll give the keys to him." It just don't work like that. Halliburton just signed his contract last summer, so it's not gonna work like that. However, I think there should be a concerted effort to give Nembhard more shots. I think there should be going into next season, you should almost kind of pull Halliburton if he's not being aggressive, to show him like, hey, this is what we need from you. I liked how I saw Indiana's offense with Nembhard. It looked consistent. It looked like something that you could repeat over the course of a season, and more importantly, in the playoffs. Right? They're a fast break running team, and Nembhard allows them to play half court basketball. And he has way more dribble combinations than motherfucking Tyrese Halliburton, because all Tyrese gonna do is side dribble left, go, and then step back. And if he got a shot, he'll take it. If not, he gonna pass it off. Now, I also understand this, that going into next season, Nembhard will probably be more prevalent in the scouting report. So next year is going to be a big year for him, and seeing how he can develop, if he can handle seeing more double teams and traps, if they try to put him into that sixth man, Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford kind of role, like just go out there and shoot every fucking time when you get on the court, because good things happen when he's aggressive. And a lot of teams can use a player like that. So I think he won him. He made himself some money over the last couple weeks for sure. The other part for them is, for the Pacers moving forward, is what's gonna happen with Pascal Siakam. So I was reading somewhere, let's see. Unrestricted free agent in the 2024 offseason. He's eligible to sign a 4-year, $192 million veteran extension with... No, bro, what the fuck? That's old. Let's see right here. (2023-2024). Oh, so he's an unrestricted free agent this summer. And I think the extension they could give him is like 5 years, $250. Like, who are they going to get? There's been rumors of Paul George. I don't really know what other star player is going to make their way over here, but I do think that Siakam has been great. They need to find a way to get him more shots moving forward if he does stay. And also developing Andrew Nembhard and really seeing what this backcourt can look like, right? Can you play him and Halliburton together without getting destroyed on the defensive side, right? Or are you gonna be forced to keep him in the 6-man role? It's really all going to depend, and I think that they're gonna have to experiment with those guys going into next season. Now, moving on. Before we start looking at fucking next season, we still got this season, and tonight we have the Dallas Mavericks versus the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game 4 with a potential closeout by the Dallas Mavericks on their home floor at that. And I'll be honest with y'all, man. The Minnesota Timberwolves are done. I want to give them a game. I've been really big on. I've been on the Anthony Edwards. I've been on the Anthony Edwards train. I've been on the Minnesota Timberwolves train. I think these guys are really good, but Cat has just let them down. All that shit about the 3-pointers, 1,500 shots, like, dog, nobody gives a fuck. And I really hope that he really gets that into him, especially when it comes to like casual fans that no one gives a fuck. Like, most people don't even know how much time it takes to shoot that many shots. And people that know you're not taking that many shots right now. So just I don't even know why he came up with that. For me, the big thing was the fact that he didn't even get on the podium with his teammate and they've been doing that all playoffs long. All of a sudden you just don't do a press conference with him, and he's forced to do one with Kyle fucking Anderson and Mike Conley. Like, what are we doing? You worried about 3-pointers when you need to get your ass in the post and go dominate those guys to open up the 3-pointers for the rest of your team. But I guess you're still hung up on being the best shooting big man ever and not getting an NBA championship. So this shit is over, bro, because I think that there's a disconnect with the team. I think that Karl Anthony Towns thing was not that it's an issue or anything like that, but I genuinely think that the players look at him a little funny after that. Whether he's taking those shots or not, I think they look at him a little funny after that, because at the end of the day, it's just You just shot bad, bro. Just shut the fuck up and own it. Like, it don't matter. And he's not understanding that part of it. And the Dallas Mavericks are clicking on all cylinders. They have all the they don't feel like they're gonna lose. It's almost like it's almost like how Boston's been, where it doesn't matter what the score is. If they're down, they're up. It doesn't matter who's on a run. It's like Dallas is never rattled, and they always know that they're gonna pull the victory off. They have 2 closers. They have an MVP candidate, and it's just they're clicking right now. Their role players have ultimate confidence. It's all rolling for them, right? And so when you look at this game tonight, I expect Dallas to put it away. I expect them to put this shit away and to get it over with. And, you know, we have a Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks NBA Finals. But as we look closer at the Dallas Mavericks, they've been talking a lot about this. And is Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving I agree. Although we do have, you know, I guess for me, my only counter to that would be we do have like a Joel Embiid and a Giannis and a Jokic who are nasty. You know, I think there's less of them, but there's still sprinkles of these players out there. It is a lot of fake flexing and fake being tough nowadays when we know damn well no one's gonna fight. Like that bullshit Miles Turner did yesterday. Like, come on, we know no one gonna do that shit. If anything, the guards are the tougher ones nowadays. Yeah, like I said, I think now the guards are more of the bullies. Like you see Russell Westbrook over the last 10 years has been the biggest bully in the NBA. Drew Holiday has been bullying Siakam and all their big guys on Indiana. You know, it's like these smaller players are the ones that are the bullies. It's just different now. And honestly, the biggest bully of them all might be fucking Luka Doncic. Like, dog, he is hitting anyone and anything on a basketball court, on offense and on defense. But yeah, is Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving the best backcourt ever? You can't say that yet. Like, I get what Stan Van Gundy is saying. If I had to really think about it, right, they probably are the most talented backcourt that we've... I'm trying to think really hard right now. Because what do we have? We have, obviously, Steph and Clay. You know, before we had CJ and Dame, but they never won anything either. They were just a really talented duo. We had Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton. I thought it was a real good guard duo. Tony Parker and Manu, except Manu wasn't a fucking starter. Who else we got? Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars was an incredible duo back in the day. I saw someone say Magic Johnson and Byron Scott. Like, I'm sorry, but Byron Scott wasn't even the player that Joe Dumars was. To me, the Magic Johnson thing, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same reason why I can't have like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan in this conversation, because, you know, Kobe and Derek Fisher. I'm not saying that Derek Fisher is not a great player, but Derek Fisher is not Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is not Kyrie Irving. I mean, Derek Fisher is not Kyrie Irving. Pick a guard for Jordan. Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Craig Hodges. Yeah, but it's the rules too, Elijah. I think, you know, they get away with they can't get away with as much physicality as well. And it's just a lot of it is for the cameras now, right? A lot of it is for a little quick IG reel or YouTube short. That's all that shit really is nowadays. And everyone cuts in between these guys. Nothing's really gonna happen. So that's really what it is too. And no one's trying to take that fine, man. The fines that they're getting is little couple thousand versus like couple hundred back in the day is totally different too. I wouldn't take that fine either, don't matter how tough I am. But yeah, Michael Jordan, Ron Harper is probably his best duo, but they're more of a defensive juggernaut, that guard backcourt. And so obviously Clay's got to be the greatest backcourt, but I don't know if anyone else had an MVP and a potential All-NBA player as their sidekick. And all the titles that Kyrie has, best handles, most clutch, best under the rim finisher, like I don't think anyone else has ever played with someone that has so many great attributes. But in terms of the best backcourt ever, they can't be. Unfortunately, they haven't won it yet, right? So in terms of talent, in terms of greatness, so I think that when early in the Boston Celtics run, where Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown were considered shooting guards, I think Jayson Tatum over time has, he transitioned he turned into a small forward, and then now a power forward, right? Well, yes, I think people are like that, but I think Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are a great duo. I don't think you can compare Luka and Kyrie to the greatest duos ever. I don't even think they would crack that top 5 or like the top 10 if we're being 100% honest. Because now we're looking at MJ, Scotty, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron with whoever. LeBron with Kyrie even, right? But I think the difference is that Luka and Kyrie are both considered currently guards. I don't think Jayson Tatum nowadays is considered a guard. I think he's considered more of a front court player instead of a back court player. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think that the talent-wise for Luka and Kyrie, they're there. The reality is there haven't been that many great backcourt duos, right? And the point that I was getting to was, it's funny that this is the topic now, because for a long time the NBA frowned upon scoring backcourts. They said it was a bad thing. They said 2 scoring guards can't coexist. This is what they said about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown when they first got together. We have 2 guards playing the same position. They can't coexist. Like I said, this was the reality for a long time. You needed a pass first point guard and a scoring guard. You couldn't have 2 guards that were scorers. It couldn't happen. So I also think this is a skewed conversation, because up until the last 10 years, they almost didn't allow this kind of combo, right? We would have to look at duos, backcourt duos that never won anything. We're looking at Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin. Like we'd have to look at these things and really get in our bag and really talk about some real scoring duos, because they probably didn't win a championship. And like I said, they frowned upon this shit for a long time. And so it's ironic that now all of a sudden, they're the best backcourt duo ever. Yeah, because there haven't been that many. And now, because the NBA is a copycat league, what's going to happen is now other teams are going to start copying this moving forward. Oh, let's get 2 scoring guards together. We've seen with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, it doesn't necessarily work. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to have 2 guys that complement each other really well. Kyrie knows how to take a back seat and choose his spots. That's what makes Kyrie is what makes this duo work. And they've been spectacular. Not taking anything away from them, but they got a ways to go. And, you know, to your point, Elijah, they still have to, 1, win a championship, but 2, to you know, do it again next year too. Like, they haven't had that much time together. So yeah, I think it's, you know, a lot of people just talking, but hey, it is what it is. And so moving on, because, you know, we've been talking about a lot of this has been a lot of the topics have been kind of weaving with each other. So let's just talk about what the NBA Finals could look like. Obviously, the Boston Celtics are there. It looks like, I mean, history also says the Dallas Mavericks will meet them in the NBA Finals. So what does that look like? For starters, how the fuck do you guard Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? And if I'm the Boston Celtics, my point of worry is we saw what Andrew Nembhard was able to do as the primary ball handler in the last 2 games. Now that player is Luka Doncic. That player is Kyrie Irving. Andrew Nembhard was able to give them problems. How is it going to look when that player, like I just said, is Luka or Kyrie? Both of these teams have shown that they can close out games, that they can come back, that they can execute down the stretch. I think, for me, that's the most awesome thing that I've seen about these 2 teams, is that their last 4 minutes, 5 minutes, the way they're able to execute, get the shots that they want, it's just like, it brings me back to when I really fell in love with basketball in like the early 2000s, the late 90s and early 2000s. And this is how teams played down the stretch. This is playoff basketball. This is finals championship basketball. And so seeing these 2 teams play in that style, it's a breath of fresh air, right? Now, when you look at the Boston Celtics compared to the Minnesota Timberwolves, there's no worry that Jaylen Brown is going to disappear. The same way Karl Anthony Towns has disappeared. Excuse me. That's not a worry at all. In fact, who's going to guard him? Like, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been unable to get to the rim consistently. And now the Dallas Mavericks are going up against a Jaylen Brown who lives in the paint and a Jason Tatum who, I don't know what he's been averaging through the playoffs, but he's been getting, like, let's see what his playoffs numbers look like. Let's see. Per game, he's averaging 8 free throws a game, and a lot of games he's in double figures, right? Because they're going to have to put pressure on the Dallas Mavericks bigs. They have been an issue for these teams, their ability to stay upright and not get in foul trouble. Now Luka is gonna draw probably gonna draw the Drew Holiday matchup at first and try to save Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's probably gonna be on Kyrie, and then Tatum is gonna swap between Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington. Now, where's the fuck? Where's fuck? I was wondering about this. Like, what is the injury update on Derek Lively? Yeah, because, like, he's out for tonight. And, like, they're going to need him moving forward, right? Tingus Pingish. I'm gonna start calling that motherfucker that. But yeah, it's gonna be one of those situations where, like, it's if Porzingis is back, like, I think Boston is going to have to go small. They're gonna have to take Al Horford out of the game because Kyrie and Luka are just gonna target him in pick and rolls. And that means you're gonna have to maybe put Jayson Tatum at the 5. If you don't have, like, a Porzingis all the way healthy, we're gonna have to see how he plays, and just have some weird, funky ass lineup. Because you're gonna have to somehow pull away those bigs from the paint, those Dallas Mavericks bigs from the paint. And I think Tatum is gonna have to kind of be that guy, which, you know, in a series like this, if Tatum is pulling the bigs of the Dallas Mavericks away from the paint, that leaves openings for a Derek White and for a Jaylen Brown to get going. And like I said a couple of rounds ago, what happens if Jayson Tatum isn't the Finals MVP, right? What's the chatter gonna look like on him? But yeah, this is gonna be a hell of a fucking series. I personally can't wait. Obviously the Dallas Mavericks have to get through the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight first. And we've seen this Luka Anthony Edwards matchup, but, you know, continuing to look ahead, what does this Luka Jayson Tatum matchup look like in the NBA Finals? And the two storylines, it worked out in a weird way. We have two Jordan Brand athletes in the NBA Finals, right? If you think about it, there are no who are prominent. There are no prominent NBA Nike athletes that are young, like in these guys' age, outside of like outside of a Ja Morant. You know, Devin Booker is like in that middle pact where he's a veteran and he's getting a little bit older now. How old is Devin Booker? He's probably like 28. 27. That's cap. Oh, he's 26. Oh, he's still young also. But you know, we don't, you know, him and KD are obviously Nike athletes, but we have two Jordan Brand athletes in the NBA Finals. And the two opposing narratives, or the two opposing storylines, Luka being at 25, 26, the most individually successful player that we have in the NBA right now. Individual stats, all NBA 5 out of 6 years, 70 points or 73. Like, he has all of these stats, right? Triple doubles. You know, some people are calling him selfish and shit nowadays. He's that player that's individually just super gifted, super talented, and has all of those individual accolades except for like an MVP. And now on the other side, we have Jayson Tatum, who at 25, 26 has had the most team success, right? Been to the finals twice. You know, Eastern Conference finals like 5 times, 6 times already. You know, All NBA. I think he has 4 selections in the All NBA. So, like, you know, it's not like in terms of like the All NBA, yeah, 4-time All NBA, 5-time All Star. It's not like Luka blows him out in that All NBA. It's just the numbers that Luka has put up has just been so amazing, right? And Tatum, you know, 26 this year. Last year was like 30 a game. Yeah, 30.1. And he just hasn't had, you know, they've talked about it earlier. He just hasn't had that individual recognition that goes along with the team success. So which Jordan athlete is it going to be that's going to come out on top? The most individually successful or the most team successful? And that storyline is, I think, one that's going to unfold. It's one that I haven't seen anyone really talk about so far, but that's really what this comes down to. Which style is going to prevail? The ball dominant, I'm going to handle the ball the whole time, everything is going to run through me, or the guy that's really grown and evolved his game over the last couple of years to get to this point? He went from 30 a game to 26 a game to try to allow these other guys to grow so that he can have a full team with him going on this run. If you're on either side, I could see how you can look at this as it's the perfect storybook ending. It's almost as if the script is written for each team. Who is going to close it out? And that's what we have to find out. We have 2 teams that have been able to execute, like I keep saying, down the stretch. And I do expect close games, and it's going to be, you know, basketball is a game of inches, and this is really what it's going to come down to. Who's going to hit those shots? Who's going to make mistakes? Who's going to take advantage of it? Who's going to miss it? It's going to be little minute details that will determine that NBA Finals. But like I said, the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to get through the Minnesota Timberwolves first, and it starts tonight. And I believe that the Dallas Mavericks finish off the Minnesota Timberwolves in 4 games. We have 2 sweeps entering. We have 2 sweeps entering the NBA Finals this year. Boring conference finals, but I think it's going to make for an exciting NBA Finals. And we're going to have a new champion. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching me. You could have been, as I like to say, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here hanging out with me, and I really appreciate that. Please have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Happy Tuesday. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys tomorrow.